I started, but we're gonna. So like, when you were first starting to realize, like, oh, these people aren't showing up for me the way that, like, I have always poured into them, like, when did that first start to sink in? Like, was it after treatment? Was it during? Was it like way down, like a year later? Like, when did that start to sink in?
It was the day I went to the doctor's office and they looked at me in front of my then husband and said, "You have cancer." It was literally that day events unfolded that showed me how low of a priority I was to my husband.
Yeah.
Like
Didn't
that
he still
day.
want to go to b baseball practice or something?
Yes. So we had an afternoon appointment. The doctor came in. I'd been sick for months. They told me that it had to be anxiety. There was nothing wrong. And I kept pushing. And that's another thing we'll talk about too, how important it is to be your own advocate for your health. And yeah, I found out I had cancer and I went home and I looked at my husband in the kitchen and we're a big sports family and sports have always come first. And I said, we need to skip baseball tonight. And my 8-year-old son had a baseball game. And he said no. And I said, I really need to stay home. I need to process what happened. I need to talk to you. I need you. And he said, no, we have to go to baseball. He can't miss baseball. And I, as a 37-year-old woman, said okay because my husband said so. And I put myself in the car and I sat in a baseball chair on a field and I watched 8-year-olds with, I don't know how many people have sports children out there, but at 8 years old, some of them can play and some of them can't, and it's very long. The skill level is all over the place. Sometimes they can't even throw it to home and they're learning how to pitch. But I remember sitting in that baseball chair watching all these kids and my husband standing next to me, not even sitting next to me, not holding my hand, not and comforting. And I just remember our mom actually showed up. She put her baseball chair next to mine. I had called her and told her briefly what the doctor said. And she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes and she said, Amber, I just can't do this. I'm so sorry I have to go home. Because she was so emotional. Because she just found out her daughter had cancer. And she picked up her stuff and she left. And I remember thinking, why does she get to do that? And I can't. Why can't I go home and lay in my bed and cry or talk to my husband and have him tell me everything's going to be okay? And like that was my first moment where I was like, wow, I have really created this life where I've just given everything to everyone. And the very first day, and it just continued on. But it took something like that for me to realize it. And it
Yeah.
still took another 2 years to actually walk away from my marriage, you know?
Yeah. That makes me want to flip this table that my laptop is
Well,
on because like what the actual fuck? Like, yeah,
well,
it's
and I think it's important as women too to realize, like, look, like, I think back to that moment and it makes me so upset, but I am a different person now. And I have learned so much and I've grown so much from all the experiences in these last 4 years. And like, I'd like to say now that something like that would never happen to me again. You
yeah.
know, like that
Yes.
I would have stopped it. I wouldn't have allowed it. I would have said, no, we are staying home. You are
Yeah.
going to talk to me. I am going to lay in bed and cry, you
Yeah.
know? And I think sometimes it's really hard to find that voice, even though it sounds so obvious. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's not. Because as women, we've just been dialed in, you know, to like take care of everyone.
What do you think was the mindset that made you like be like, okay, well, he said this, so that's what we're gonna do? Like, what specific, do you think it was just like all of it, or like a specific mindset or something you told yourself that like had you in the place where you were like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm just gonna follow what he said.
So I think I didn't realize, like, he said we were going. So I just said, after I pushed back twice and he stood his ground, I just said, okay.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time after that and a lot of things that happened after that to like really kind of like dissect my marriage and see what was going on. But I think looking back, I had just gotten to this place in my marriage where my husband pretty much just said what we were doing all the time. And it didn't start like that. It certainly didn't
Yeah.
start like that. I was very independent as a young woman and like very kind of like feminist and, women's rights and everything. But somewhere along the line, it became like that. And I think little by little by little. And it just shows you where I was at in my marriage, where like I could be diagnosed that day and say, we need to stay home. And for him to say we're not, and me be like, okay,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I mean, this is where we're breaking generational cycles because like we love our mom so much and our mom is an amazing mom now. We did go through a rough period growing up and we did see our mom kind of being a doormat and just letting things happen and not protecting us and not protecting herself and not standing up and saying no. And then we watched her rebuild her life again and be like, always be prepared to leave a man, blah, blah, blah. And she was so like,
Don't depend on a man. Get your
yeah, Kristen.
degree.
Yeah, my best friend from like growing up used to always be like, I just remember your mom driving us home from like our cheerleading practice or cheerleading games and being like, always be like, never rely on a man, like blah, blah, blah. And she would just give us these like little pep talks, and like say things. But yeah, but we did like watch her. We watched her growing up, like be submissive and just like be a doormat. I mean, I don't understand how she could have been any other way. She had 6 kids starting at 18, getting
Mhm.
married super young, traveling, like moving once a year because of the military, like being completely separated from friends and family, having like no friends, having no community, no support, no outlets, like no babysitters to go on dates because they were afraid of like child abductors. Like it was all over the news at the time in the 90s. And then having your husband go away to war. Like, like like honestly, when I think about mom and her life, I'm like, yeah, how could she not fucking like, how could everything that happened not have happened the way it did? Because it,
Mhm.
like, yeah, I think I would have gone insane if I was her. But yeah, we watched her be in that cycle, repeat the cycle that she watched her mom be in, that we know that Nanny was in, our grandma, and like probably other women before them, where like they were in unhappy situations where there was like alcoholism or abuse or whatever, control, and they didn't have any options, but we do. Like this is such a
Mhm.
rare moment in history and like we have options. So like our mom was the first one to have options and then she did choose eventually and then we both got in situations where like we repeated the cycle but broke it even sooner. And so
Mhm.
hopefully like daughter will like never even experience anything like that. Like hopefully by then she'll like if someone tries to treat her poorly like she'll recognize it and not even let it go farther.
Mhm.
I remember, so I dated, I have an ex, I like almost said his name. I have an ex who, when I was with him, we both bartended and we worked at this place where they had a few couples who worked there, and the owners were extremely creepy and would just like grope the women all the time. And it was like a nightclub, and then the owner's friends would come in and say inappropriate stuff and be really creepy. And I just hated it. And I had a rabies scare, and yeah, I basically had to wait 6 months to see if I was gonna die because they didn't know if I got the vaccine in time.
Oh my
So that
gosh.
was, yeah, it was terrifying. And I like realized I got sober and like changed all these things about myself overnight and I was 24, because I was like, if I were to pass away from this, I wouldn't have been someone who lived according to my beliefs. And
Mhm.
I'm not proud of who I am. I don't live according to anything I believe in. And so I changed so many things overnight. And the bar was like, letting go of one person from each couple because again they wanted to just be creepy and have people be single or flirty or like whatever for their own
Yeah.
gross reasons and for customers to flirt with. But so they were letting go of one person from each couple. So left because I was like, well, I can't stand being here. And he was like, you leave like I'll support us. It's fine. And then I tried a bunch of jobs that I thought would be good, that I would like, and they ended up being awful. Like Barnes and Noble or directing a yoga studio, like just working so many hours and barely getting paid and just like stressful bosses. And so all these things like weren't working out at the time. And then I also was like newly sober, realizing I had all this sexual trauma and like working on healing it. And yeah, and then my ex said to me that he didn't want me to get a job because he was scared that if I had my own money, I would leave him. And my
He was probably
friend,
right.
yeah, he was right.
You
And
know?
yeah, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So then my friend at the time, my best friend, was a therapist, and she pulled me aside and was like, "I've noticed patterns of abuse in your relationship, and like I don't want to say this to you, but I need to." And like same thing, like he would sleep until 4 a.m. because he would bartend till late, come home, bartend till late, be out drinking with random people until 9 a.m. with like women. He like cheated on me all the time and all this stuff. Would wake up face down, drunk in South Philly with like his wallet stolen. Um, and I wouldn't know where he was, no phone, wouldn't tell me, wouldn't communicate, and we lived together. And I didn't have any money to leave. So, but he would wake up at 4 p.m. and call me, and I would like leave immediately to go because he didn't like that I was out. Like he wanted me to come home. And so I
Yeah.
was with my friend, and he would finally wake up, and then I would be like, I have to leave. Like he's awake. I have to go. And
Mhm.
she was like, and then he would get mad at I did all the grocery shopping, all the cooking, all the cleaning, and like he would get mad at me for spending money, even if it was on groceries. And it just ended up being a very toxic situation very fast. And then I got a job and then like, yeah, got out of there as soon as I could. And he was right. Yeah. Once I got a job, I was gone. And that's not every man. Like, not every man is going to
Yeah.
create that scenario, but it is wild that um like noticing a pattern of abuse or like having someone point it out to you and then having the courage to do something about it and to break that cycle as fast as you can, which is like, I mean, I don't think I've told you that whole story. Like, there's so
Mhm.
many things I haven't told you over the years because I didn't want to be a burden or I didn't want you or other siblings to like feel bad for me or like think I was a failure or because you guys were all like married with your kids and these jobs and I just felt like I don't know. And obviously that's not the case. Like we all love each other very much.
Yeah.
But
But on paper, we look like we were doing everything right because, and these are the lies, right? The
yeah.
lies that you told yourself. We were all happily married and we were all having kids. And so that meant we must have had our shit together. And we probably really didn't, you know?
Yeah, just that like you guys were living like I was a part of your guys' lives by like
Mm,
coming to all the birthdays and all the holidays and
yeah.
like the things, but you guys weren't a part of my life and like didn't know
Mm,
what I was going through like ever. And I know there's things in
yeah.
our siblings' lives that we don't probably know about. I know, especially for a few, especially for Megan, like, because she literally has said that, which like makes me sad. But yeah, like that's just life sometimes. But the whole point is like breaking those cycles and realizing that our feelings matter, and if you can prioritize how you feel and like honor it and allow space for that as a woman, it's like it sounds so simple, but it's like revolutionary.
Well, yeah, and I feel like that's what's important, and that's what I want people to take away. Like, I want them to be able to hear some of our stories and relate to it, right? Like, as a woman, I can think to myself, God, like you said, I went to that baseball game, and like, why did I just go? Why didn't I push back? And there's probably so many women out there who look back at things and think, like, why did I let that happen? Or how did that even happen? And it's
Yeah.
not that I'm not a strong person or not an independent person, but I think like all of these stories that we're going to tell are going to be really relatable.
Mhm.
And I think it just helps people like find a way to find that strength and kind of just like evaluate their life and make sure that they are happy and they are fulfilled, you know?
Yeah. So what would it take for you to adopt the mindset even more of like prioritizing how you feel and honoring how you feel?
Oh, I don't know. I think my kids would have to be completely grown and I'd have to be living alone. I'm really trying hard not to be such a people pleaser, and I'm getting
Yeah.
there, but it's going to be a long process for me. That's who I am by nature, you know? And there's a big part of me that, like, when the people that I love or the people that I take care of are happy, like, that does fulfill me. Like,
Mhm.
that fulfills a big part of me, you know? Like, just seeing them happy, seeing them good, doing things for them, even stupid things. Like, it doesn't mean like you can't be this housewife or this stay-at-home mom and still not feel fulfilled. Like, there were
Yeah.
times that I would fold my kids' laundry and that would be fulfilling for me, even though I kind of hate it. But like just knowing I was taking care of them or providing something for them that they need, you know? So
Yeah.
like there are all these little almost mundane things that can be in our life
Mhm.
that can be okay and they can be fulfilling. But I think my struggle is also knowing that things that I like, things that make me feel like Amber instead of mommy, like those things are okay. And
Yeah.
those things are important because when those things are functioning and happening and a priority, it just helps me show up even more as a mom. And
Mhm.
like through everything I've been through with like my divorce and stuff, I think the important thing is I don't want to raise my daughter to think I'm a man hater. That's not what this is. You know, I'm not a man hater. There are so many good men out there. There are so many good provider men out there. And if that's what you want, that is fine too. But I think it's important to let her know that, you know, she can build herself up as a strong woman. And then,
Mhm.
kind of like what you did, when she's fulfilled and she knows who she is and she can provide everything for herself, then that's really the best time to bring a man into your life because they just add to that. And they
Yeah.
add to that love and that beauty and whatever you guys want to build together. And I
Yeah.
think that's something I was lacking, and maybe a lot of people my age who got married very young are lacking. You know, we didn't really build ourselves up, see what we needed, you know, and then moved forward.
Like live alone. Like you never got the chance to live alone really, or like be an adult on your own first. And that is like a really formative experience. I'm a total fucking man hater. Like, yeah, I think men are the worst. And but I know that there are incredible men because of my fiance and because of um yeah, because of people we love. And I still just yeah, I still hate them. So um but we can balance ourselves out. But yeah, I think a lie that I'm navigating right now is like that beauty equals happiness. Especially like being 35. I do think I look pretty young, especially when I'm like not wearing a lot of makeup. And I do think that I don't know, I feel beautiful all the time. But I've always, when I was younger, I conflated beauty with love. Like the more beautiful I am, the more lovable I'll be. And that is just like not the case. And also, beauty is subjective, and like the beauty standards that we currently are navigating or that are like dictating what's beautiful, what's in trend, like that is something that's just always evolving. It's out of our hands and we can't control it. So it's like the body type that's like currently trending when yeah. So what I'm unraveling is like worthiness and self-love and just beauty, but without all of the rules and like what the parameters that I'm allowed to exist in as a woman and still be deemed valuable when it comes to appearance. Um, and like again, kind of like caring about how I feel. It's like caring about how I feel and how I perceive myself, not if I feel like I match up to how other people will perceive me in a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think there's a lot of pressure on us that way, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Because man, your body really does change in your 30s. It's insane.
It does. It does.
Yeah. But okay, amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to share right now?
My dog is going crazy. I have no idea what's going on outside. I don't know. Can you hear that?
No. I
You
can.
can't hear her barking?
Mm-mm.
Going absolutely insane. No, I'm very excited to dive into this podcast with you and just kind of, inspire people, get some feedback, go through different topics, and just empower women, really.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts. Reach out, give us 5 stars on Spotify if you wish. And yeah, message us. We would love to hear from you. You can email us, you can reach out on Instagram. I'm Sammy B. Love on Instagram. Amber is going to create a public profile that you can reach out to on Instagram. We're gonna see where this goes, and we're just kind of flowing with it. So thanks for listening and being here, and we're excited to connect with you more in the future.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Lipstick and Lies.
Bye.
Bye.